So now let's discuss on India-Canada relations. Why I have chosen the topic as India-Canada relations instead of choosing Khalistan or something? Because in your current affairs or international relations, broadly when we discuss about the relations with other countries, different aspects will raise. India and Canada having a very good relations always till now. Now the diplomatic relations between India and Canada have hit the rock bottom. That is the context of our discussion today. Why the diplomatic relations between India and Canada is all-time low now. If you see, these are the headings in all newspapers: rock bottom, all-time low, frost meeting means frozen relations. So if we just go a little back to G20 meetings in India, during G20 meetings, of course G20 is a platform. Apart from that, bilateral meetings were also held, and during that, Trudeau, the Canadian Prime Minister, raised the issue of killing of Tspsc Nizar, a Canadian citizen in British Columbia, that is Canadian soil. Tspsc Nizar was killed in which month? June. And this we are talking in September. Why they have taken lots of time? That's one thing. When Tspsc Nizar was killed in June, the investigations were on. So what exactly Trudeau talked to the Prime Minister of India, Narendra Modi, was this HS Nizar was killed with the participation of Indian agents. They did not mention raw agent. Indian agents. What do you mean by Indian agent? You might have seen spy films. They will be going to other countries and just bumping off the people who the country opposes. Okay, but is it true? Was it happening with regard to India? This is the debate today. I'll talk about the facts a little bit, because facts you can get anywhere, but the discussion is also there. First of all, the facts are the happenings. As Trudeau alleged that Tspsc Nizar was killed with the active involvement of Indian agents. This was the allegation. So, if Tspsc Nizar was killed, what was the reason? Indian, they say that since he was the Khalistani what do you call activist according to Canada, terrorist according to India. This is the difference. If you understand this niceties, Canada says he is a Khalistani activist. He was a Khalistani activist. India says he was a Khalistani terrorist. And we already listed him in the terrorist name, because India has a big list of terrorist organizations, banned organization. This Khalistan Force, Justice for Khalistan, all these organizations are there in the banned list. It's a huge list. Around 40 or 45 organizations will be there. Every year the Indian government will be updating the organizations list also. Sometimes what happens, for example, some Islamic outfits which create terror, then change the name. So in the next year, when they issue a latest list, they may remove that, because that old name will not be existing. It will be in a other new form. So every year Indian Home Ministry will be releasing the list of the terrorist organizations. Here they say that this man Nizar is related to a terrorist organization, so we need them. This is already, it's a old claim by India. But when Trudeau alleged that he was killed with the active support of Indian agents, India's reaction was, it said it is absurd. Absurd. No, we didn't. We never do such acts, killing on foreign soil. Because what Trudeau's allegation is essentially, Canadian soil has their own laws. You should follow rule of law. No one can come and kill a Canadian citizen on Canadian soil. This was their claim. And India said that no, we did not do. So what is right and what is wrong, let's discuss a bit later. But first, let's talk about the Canadian argument about this killing. Canada says, till there is no violence, anything you can propagate on our soil, whatever you want to do. Means, if you want to support a Khalistani movement also, if you want to do it on a peaceful basis, means you propagate. It doesn't, in Canada will not object to it. That is why in recent past in Canada, there was a referendum in Canada, referendum on Khalistan. They organized 6 for Justice. 6 for Justice organization organized a referendum in Canada. Referendum, you understand what exactly is referendum? Referendum means taking the opinion whether Khalistan is justified or not. They organized, and Gurudwaras were the places where they were collecting the votes. So this happened in Canada, and Canada says it's justified, we don't object to it. Why? And they say that it's because even when the question of Quebec, have you heard what is Quebec? Quebec is a province in Canada. Quebec wanted to get separated from Canada. They wanted to become a separate independent country because Quebec is having more French speaking people. Quebec. This was going on for 20 years, Quebec movement. And last 10 years back, I believe, I don't remember exactly the year, there was 6 years back, there was a referendum on Quebec. Canada itself organized. And the referendum lost with just 2% votes or so. So Quebec could not become a separate country. Then Trudeau or Canadian authorities say that, you see, even on our land, if someone wants to get separate, we allow it. If it is non-violent and it's a movement. So we never opposed, we didn't stop, or we don't stop Khalistan propagation. This is our values and this is our democracy. This is what Canada's stand is. But what India says is, even the propagation of Khalistan movement on your soil is not warranted. We don't want you to support it. This is Indian stand. If you see, for example, Pakistan or India, the lines are very clear. It is very clear lines. There is no what you call hidden things. Pakistan definitely supports whatever anti-India activities are happening in India, or support them with military or arms and all those things. The same thing with India. When I said Pakistan, you people are, yeah, it's true. But when I say India, will you say yes or no? India also supports the anti-Pakistan activities in Beluchistan. Funding, moral supports and many things they will do. It is part of the political activity of all the countries. Remember this. If anyone says, this is my opinion, and you can ask any better educated political scientist, they will not speak like the anchor in the national news daily. No, we will never do. Everyone does, but no one says. Didn't America came to Pakistan and killed someone on Pakistan soil? Didn't America went into other lands? It went into Colombia and picked the president of Colombia. Do you know about? They have they have picked the president of Colombia and airlifted him. America does it umpteen number of times, doing on foreign soils. Is it clear? If you see spy movies, James Bond movies, where are they? Actually, they will be going to other countries and fighting. You take Pathan, recent film, or any film for that instance. This is all part of the activities of the states or the governments. But I am not saying that this is very clear case of India killed Niger. But this is after following lots of discussions, including the ex-Ra chief. If you want to see all the debates in the wire, Karan Thapar has interviewed the ex-Ra chief. Ex-Ra. Ra, do you know what Ra? What is the full form of Ra? Ra. Research and Analysis Wing. What exactly is research and analysis? It sounds like some research institute in some university. But our Ra is not research, just research and analysis wing is nothing but it's an external affairs spy agency. Means it does activities or it does surveillance or activities related to foreign affairs. For example, if you say CBI, this is Indian, Ra is external. You take the counterparts like CIA. CIA is external for America. FBI is internal. Did you get this difference? So all these things are related to the activities of the governments, the worldwide. Whenever some activity is going on against the interests of your particular country, they act upon sometimes violently, sometimes non-violently, sometimes diplomatically. Means by asking the country to deport the wanted person, by asking the country to freeze the accounts of the banned organizations in that country. Those things are diplomatic activities. But killing is something which is big. That is why these things are in news. So if you see, do you think this is not happening? Openly killing of an agent or killing of a person on foreign soil was in the recent news we can read. Russia did in London. But Russia did not kill UK people or Englishmen. Russia killed the same Russian who was a dissident and went to London. There they entered and Russian agents killed. So openly accepting activities are very less. But agents acting upon the tip, acting upon the taking up the violent activities is a common activity. But coming back to our same case, present case, did India involved? So what is the perception of all the countries? Canada is alleging, it is alleging that we have killed. So other one is US. US is a close ally of India too. But what was the caution? What was the reaction of US on this action, on this issue? Cautious approach. They did not deny. They did not support directly Canada. Why? Today, India is very important diplomatically for Canada, for the US or any European country to counter China's growing influence. So it is not just whether you accept it, whether you talk about it or not, whether you agree that this man has killed or not killed, it's not the question. It is your diplomatic or your relations, your geopolitical interests are very important. Remember, geopolitical interests. What do you mean by geopolitical interests? When it comes to the present world order, Russia is completely bogged down into Ukraine war. China is growing, China's influence is growing, and US is worried about the growth of Chinese influence and close the ties with Russia and China. So strategically, geopolitical interests make US to be very cautious, neither directly to ask India saying that please show the proof or don't do it, or asking Canada to show the proof. But Canada is claiming, even Reuters like organizations, Reuters is what? Pardon? Of which country? Reuters is a news organization of UK. Reuters is also claiming that, why I am telling all these new names, because you may get direct information related to some what Indian government is saying in all the newspapers, but these things they are not regularly watching. Reuters is saying that before alleging, Canada worked closely with US to gather the evidence. Did you see the word? It worked closely with US in gathering the evidences that India is involved. It means Canada did not come up with the allegation immediately, just recently. They were working on that for the past few months. And there is one important alliance known as Five. What is this Five Eyes alliance? US, UK, Australia, New Zealand, Canada. These people are sharing the information that you call it as intelligence. Sharing the intelligence. Yesterday we had this intelligence. Intelligence means what? Intelligence department and AUT. Intelligence means information regarding whatever the state wants. That is known as intelligence. This Five Eyes is a group. They share everything regularly related to politico-military activities. Politico-military. Remember this. So, if we have to understand the dynamics of this allegation, definitely before Trudeau openly means in the bilateral discussions with Modi, or announcing in the parliament on last Monday. In Canadian parliament, he announced just on Monday, saying that this is Indian agents activity. So how to understand this? So after this, the ties between India and Canada got worsened immediately. It was during G20. Since it is G20, immediately nothing was done. But after that, on Monday, he discussed in the Assembly, Canadian Parliament, since then, everything is moving on a fast pace. What exactly is happening? Today, in international diplomacy, if we see, India is in a better placed position, to be very frank. It's not because of some individual. Remember, if someone says that it is because of some individual it is happening, no. It is because of the India's position. What exactly is India's position? One is the biggest market. India is the biggest market today because we are more than China. Number one, if you don't understand this, you will feel that everything is our greatest. No. We are a very big market. That is why they love us. The whole world loves us because we are a big market. Number two, we are positioned in a place where geopolitical advantage is there, because all those who want to counter China should fall upon or to fall back with India. They should side with India or support India. This is the second angle. If we understand these two things, then we will understand how the things will unfold in future. This is the basic understanding. So rest of the things, like after this assembly announcement in the parliament, the diplomat was sent. First, Indian diplomat was sent from Canada. Then Canadian diplomat was sent back to Canada. So now the thing is a tussle. Means India has yesterday or day before yesterday I think, they asked the Canadian officials, Canadian High Commission, to reduce the number of staff, because we have only this much, you should have this much. This is like a diplomatic tussles. It happens whenever there is a serious problem, crisis in the relations between two countries. So now it is affecting the people who are trying to go to Canada. That is a major aspect. I don't think many Canadians will come to India for study. Do you have any Canadian to coming to Ashok Nagar? No. Huh? Very less. Indians are going. I have four people from my family itself in Canada now. My closest, my sister's daughter's son, and one is ready to go in January. Why? Because Canada is more free and violence free, less violence than US. If you see, in US there is more violence, gun culture, and all these things were talked. So Canada was most preferred destination. Who will be affected with this? Mostly Indian students will be affected, and especially the latest what do you call that, external affairs minister's issue, ministry issues one. What do you call that? What do you call that? Issues? Issues, a letter issues some warning to the citizens of that country, any country. So Canada has issued a letter saying that, Canada issued warning saying that if you are going to India, not precautions, there is one word I missed, I'll tell you. If you are going to India, be cautious if you are moving in Kashmir or some other places. Apart from that, in Canada itself, a man who is a Khalistani leader, Panun, his full name is some, tomorrow you can see, some Panun. This man has openly threatened Indians in Canada, if you are not supporting Khalistan, go back to India. Because Khalistan we are doing here and we abide by the Canadian Constitution. If you are opposing us, you are opposing Canadian Constitution also. And this is a direct threat to Indians. But Canada immediately reacted, and Canada said that there is no room for violence or threats in Canada. This is a prompt reaction from Canada to Panun's comment. Did you get my point? This Khalistani leader threatened the Indians who are there, those who are not Khalistan supporters, saying that if you have to leave for India, then Canada immediately came up with this statement that there is no room for hate or threats in Canada. This is their principle. So till now these are the things happening. So what is the crux of the matter? We have talked everything, but for one thing, what do you call? That is Khalistan. What is this Khalistan? See, all these things are only issues. All these things are happenings. But exactly what happened is that the issue is Khalistan, which is in the center now in the debate. Pardon? Indo? Are they Hindus? Because they are not Sikhs. Indian Hindus, that's what I said. Hindus who don't support us. Hindus don't support us. Okay? I'll tell you. Khalistan. Why Khalistan is the demand, or Khalistan? Have you heard about Khalistan movement? Where? When was the Khalistan movement active in India? Till 90s, late 90s, again in 92 also, we can say last stray incidents were happening. But it started in 1980, 80s to 90s. This is the peak period. Khalistan movement was there in India. So this Khalistan movement was demanding separate nation for Sikhs. That is the crux of the matter. Separate nation for Sikhs. I am not going to talk about Khalistan movement today itself, because our 20 minutes allocated time for this Canadian activity or Canadian this crisis is over, and tomorrow I will talk about the Khalistan itself. So Not just Khalistan. Remember, India had many movements in the past, even present, which is trying to carve out a separate country out of the Indian land. For example, this is Khalistan. This is related to Punjab area, Sikh homeland. Then, what are the other areas which were fighting for separate statehood, separate country? Nagaland, Nagalim, they call it as Nagalim. Nagaland, separate statehood, separate country for Nagaland. Means Nagas wanted their own country, and the area comprising of Nagaland, Manipur, this is the main area. Even today, Nagas are there in Manipur. In the latest crisis, Nagas were not at the center of the crisis, but Maitis and Kukis were there. And Kukis, Maitais, Nagas, all these people are they residing in two states of Manipur and Nagaland. So this is one, Nagaland. Two organizations, NSCN, IM, and second one, NSCN, Thankul. These are the two organizations which were fighting for Nagaland. And even today, this is active. If I say, you'll be surprised. There are some areas in Nagaland, it is out of bounds for Indian military too. Those areas are controlled by Nagas only. NSC and IM. IM is Isaac Muiwa. Isaac Muiwa, idhar perlu. Isaac is one man, Muiwa is man. Recently, Muiwa or Isaac died, Muiwa is alive. So these people are the leaders of NSCN. This is Nagaland. Even it is active today. Actually, they are into peace accord with Indian government. That is why there is no movement. Otherwise, there was big fight between the Indian armed forces and Naga NSCN guerrillas. Then, now this is no more. But this was a very huge organization which was fighting for a separate Assamese country. Assam. ULFA, Ulfa. Alpha, Ulfa. Ulfa. What is United Liberation Front of Assam? They were very, very active, and really for 10 years, Northeast was in the grip of all the forces. Actually, Assamese, they don't say that we were under the grip of terror, because they were completely into Ulfa activity. If you see Dil Se, have you seen Dil Se film? Not Telugu Dil Se. Shah Rukh Khan, Manisha Koirala Dil Se. That is based on Assam Ulfa movement. Completely oil wells, tea estates were under the control of these organizations, those who were propagating for separate Assam country. Assam to be separate country. Then, Inka, of course, you know Kashmir. I am not dealing much with now itself with Kashmir. In Kashmir, there were many organizations started against the repression and everything. Finally, they wanted Azad Kashmir with different organizations. Then, apart from this, Manipur. In Manipur, there is Manipur Liberation Army. Manipur Liberation Army wanted a separate Manipur country, and that is a communist based theory. Mostly Maitais are there in that organization. Of course, now it is on the low ebb presently. So this is about Manipur. So if you see Assam, Manipur, Nagaland and Mizoram, this was a big movement during 1960s. In 1960s, Fizo was the leader of the movement. Those Mizos were trying to carve out another country out of India. So you can see potential areas of separate country. That is, one is northeast, the other one is Kashmir or west side Punjab, which is bordering areas actually. So we can think about the possibilities or the aspects why these areas are fighting for separate nationhood. So I took the background of this Canada and gave you the list. And he said Tamil Nadu. What was the context? Tamil Nadu saying that we want another country. Pardon? No, I forgot. That is another thing. Though this is not Indian, this is Sri Lankan organization. India has close links with LTTE. Now, since you have made me to remember this, I have to talk about LTTE, Liberation Tigers of Tamil Eelam. Leader Prabhakaran. Prabhakaran was, if I say, Prabhakaran was trained by Indian Military Academy. Do you agree? Do you think? Now we say that Nijjar was not killed. Okay, fine. Prabhakaran was trained by Indian military officials. Prabhakaran and LTTE were supported by Indian regime in the beginning for some time, given the strategic support, but later because of the other relations or these things, India had to cut the ties with Prabhakaran or LTTE. That is why India sent Indian Peacekeeping Force, IPKF. See, whatever I am saying here are not true or not my own imaginations. It's a open truths. If you see, in 83, Prabhakaran was the guest of Indian state. He was trained. But in the process, what has happened? Their movement grew, and finally, India thought that if LTTE like organizations are growing, of course, they will check the growth or check the power of neighbors like Sri Lanka. But what happened? LTTE grew so much that it challenged even India. And India had to send IPKF, Indian Peacekeeping Force. And finally, Rajiv Gandhi was assassinated with the involvement of LTTE. You see, why I have taken from Nijjar to LTTE? This is what all the Indian or any other countries' foreign policies linger upon. Sometimes openly, sometimes not. It does not mean that Nijjar was killed by India, I am not saying immediately. Let the investigation go on. Let's talk like Biden. Let's talk like others. France, for example, France is waiting. France hasn't taken any stand. Why? Because France is the closest ally of India today because of its partnerships in many business deals. The latest one is Rafael and many things. And Europe is not ready to distance India. That is why they are very cautious in completely towing the line of Canada. But this is the scenario where for the first time after many years, Indian international relations with a popular country, bigger country, European country or a country far away got spoiled. We have to see how it comes out. Is it clear?